afternoon, everyone. This is RAND. Welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Monday, March 31, 2025. Time is flying by. Weeks are like days. Rely on the essence of your pure wisdom mind, not on judgmental perceptions. Rely on the spirit and meaning of the teachings, not on the words. Buddhist teaching. You want to make sure that you are relaxed into the body with no outside interference. Still as a statue, focused on your breath, rising and falling. Being devoted to oneself is the enlightened mindset. It's interesting how people they'll look at things on the surface and they'll go, wow, that looks like that's just really involved. It seems too technical or too this or too that. I'm not interested in it. But it isn't hard to achieve, the enlightened mindset. It just takes the most deeply rooted devotion to ourselves. And it's like we choose to be willing to know ourselves intimately and never stray from exploring further about who and what we are. See, and this exploration leads to a profound honoring of the sacredness in all things in this life. We start honoring that this balanced state of perfection is everywhere. And we have nothing to complain about or try to change in ourselves anymore. Instead, we start worshiping everything around us. We see everything and everyone as the divine in physical form. We bow down to this very ordinary life, and we call it God. We look into a blade of grass and comprehend how it's just as sacred and important as our entire galaxy. To remain in a judgment-free, enlightened mind every day, not once in a while, we must choose to look at what cannot be looked at and revel in being totally real with our pain. When we wish to remain liberated, we must be willing to see where we are still in prison, fighting to get out. And as long as we are fighting, we are still not truly free. So we must choose to always be aware of the slippery mind, and we must choose to never allow the sneaky judgments to take over us again. Choose to be 100% creatively devoted to continuously being awake, aware, and ready to step beyond a seemingly safe, judgmental world. We must choose to become the black sheep of this world if we are to be truly free. We cannot ever agree with anyone who says that some things are just 100% bad and nothing good at all will ever come out of it. You got to remember that one, because a lot of us have fallen for that one. So we choose to be the black sheep of this world. It's not, and it's a good thing. If we are to truly be free, and we cannot ever agree with anyone who says that some things are just 100% bad and nothing good at all will ever come out of it. I've heard that. I don't know about all of you, but I've heard it more than once. We must choose to stop all movement whenever any judgment arises, and choose to watch our thoughts and beliefs vigilantly, and be totally aware whenever the mind starts believing in some final truth. And we must choose to do everything we can so that the ego cannot harden and cling to any opinions formed or thoughts containing right and wrong beliefs. Now, this path does take some serious devotion. Blaming holds you in the enemy of duality, of victim and abuser. Forgiving is a direct way of reclaiming your power and free yourself to love beyond judgment. Grace Elohim. Some people will tell you how the universe is not already in a perfect design. They might try to make you a believer that you should only get what you want and nothing else. It seems like the ideal situation to be in, right? Well, the spiritual awakening process is always much deeper and more complex than it appears to be. When this universe was set up this way, the great mystery would be gone, okay, if it was set up that way. If we should never know what a block, problem, pain, or failure was like, we would be without direction, feel perpetually numb, have no longing to dig deep inside our souls to find our life mission, creativity, and spiritual path. Because you see, this universe is already set up in the most intelligent manner. It's designed so that we can get a good, solid taste of suffering. I know that sounds strange to a lot of people. You know, there are those that say, well, that's really what? Get a good, solid taste of suffering, anxiety, or inner turmoil, and use it to awaken with? We have to have a catalyst. Say, there's got to be a primer, something that jolts us, that motivates us. And it awakens us. And whenever we go unconscious and forget the divine, all-intelligent universe is everywhere around us, we instantly suffer. And whenever we allow the mind to form any judgment and register only one side of reality, that's when our problems begin. This universe loves us so much that it doesn't care for us to live in any lie. So it wakes us up with a little stress, anxiety, or emotional pain. If we do not stop and drop our judgments, another level of suffering will soon manifest. This pain is our most perfect and most loving teacher. And by welcoming it fully, we are led back to our real state of love, enlightenment, and freedom. Do not delude yourself by imagining your source to be some God outside you. Your source is within yourself. Give yourself up to it. Seek the source within. Merge with it. Ramana Rishi. Now, you could ask somebody, maybe. Just depends. There's people that we would like to ask, but we don't. It's because we live in a world that ignores the fact that a supreme, divine, all-loving, intelligent lives within us. And we've been programmed to believe we are spiritually disconnected and must fix our broken selves to feel whole and reconnected again. What we don't realize is we are just used to feeling spiritually numb. We have been plagued every day of our lives by an overly materialistic society which is constantly seducing us with its glorified billions and billions and billions of dollar hypnotic media programming. We have contracted a deep case of spiritual amnesia and have forgotten how to relax into our spiritual essence and find our own intimate connection with the divine. We have been taught wrongly. We have been taught things that are not true. It's not, it's not about getting revenge or anything. It's the people that taught us were taught the same way, who were taught the same way, who were taught the same way. And I believe that there are enough of us that are going to break that cycle, that cycle will no longer be front and center. It's an everyday ignorance of our spiritual nature. It's what it is. And it's perpetuated on the civilization of this planet on a daily basis. How about now? Yes, now. Right in this very moment. And it is the greatest lie mankind is living today. It is the cause of every moment of suffering each human being is currently enduring. Of every moment. And one may think this, you could call it a spiritual drought, was created by mankind coincidentally and is not part of the grand divine design. Nothing is by coincidence or without purpose in this universe. This blind ignorance is within us all on purpose, so that we move more passionately towards a state of awakening. These intense levels of disconnection only drive us deeper inside ourselves to find our own soul. In this lifetime, we all have is meant to be a deeply enlightening experience. Is there anything more important than knowing how to access our own direct personal connection to an all-powerful, deeply eternal loving source of highly intelligent, creative energy that has the magical power to manifest anything our heart desires? There is nothing more vital to finding happiness in this life than knowing one's own spiritual connection, and nothing more exciting than a proven way to access it, which works every time. And no matter how ridiculously stuck any of us feel about whatever it is, relationships, financial situation, health, sex, life, future, it is always a way to reach freedom. If we wish to gain a greater spiritual perspective in this life, then it's up to us to make the choice today to clarify our personal relationship with the divine. And we can see just how far we've come on our spiritual journey. Now, some of us may find that God is the most mysterious thing in this universe. Perhaps because it is the universe. God exists in everyone and everything. And, including those people you might think are deeply disconnected. Have you wondered, how can such an amazing presence be so spatially close to us and yet still be so difficult to feel and see? It's like trying to look into our own eyes with a mirror. We look out at life through these tiny black holes in our eyes, taking them for granted and not realizing they exist at all because they are so close to us. When something is too close to us, we are often unaware how truly precious it is. The same applies to noticing God. We are unaware of God until we take a step back and look deeper into our own reflection in the great mirror that is all around us. Everything is a reflection of us. Everything. Oh, a rock's a reflection of us? Yep. Realization of the self is realization of God. You are God. Every one of us are God. There is no God outside of us. There never has been. It is not an experience of God, rather it is an understanding that one is God, Ramana Maharishi. God is more like a mysterious infinite energy. That some fixed, like we've been taught, then, it's, God is more like a mysterious infinite energy than some fixed stagnant entity. And the great isness is instantly found when we stop and feel into this eternal quality, which feels like we are always and forever here, now. The isness is our infinite nature, and this can only be experienced when we are living fully in the now, exploring this life from a relaxed, trusting connection. And the divine isness is the most accepting, healing, forgiving energy one could imagine. The isness is the source of deep eternal love, which when even momentarily welcomed, we instantly feel the most profound ecstatic joy inside our heart. The knowing that we are eternal spiritual beings moves through us throughout the day, like a healing river of eternal liquid love. The very second we surrender our heart to just the idea of an eternally loving isness, we immediately find real peace, a sense of bliss, and a feeling of real satisfaction that cannot be compared. Knowing this isness is our basic nature. We start radiating like the sun and start shining our own spiritual essence into everyone in our life. The only reason we may not feel, believe, and know that God is right here within the very center of our body, soul, and heart right now is because of one thing. We know our overly busy, demanding, controlling, and desiring mind. And as long as the mind is wanting something, willing something, thinking it is lacking something, trying to reach a better place other than the great isness that's here now, we will easily miss our spiritual path. We will find ourselves living in thoughts about God instead of experiencing the real divinity. And when we get too lost in the head, we might end up walking into some highly intellectual, materialistic, and spiritually dry future. Now, the God source, I guess you could say, is infinitely complex, yet at the same time, very simple. God is actually quite easy to experience. Now, the challenge is learning what it takes to fully be here now. To feel the divine isness, we must first begin feeling whatever is up for us in this moment. We must choose to explore how we can let go of the mind and open ourselves up emotionally, feeling everything that is here now. And when we call off the mental search looking for God out there and simply feel into the core essence of our being where God truly resides, we find we have been the ones who were hiding and protecting ourselves from the very thing that we are, the divine. God has always been here, is always here, radiating within every atom in existence. And as we drop deeper beneath the thinking mind and through our blocked emotions, we discover the greatest source of peace, silence, and stillness. This is where God abides. And as Psalm 46:10, be still and know that I am God. That is you talking. Be still and know that I am God. Perhaps the most radical truth about this human existence is this. We humans are either existing in some form of suffering or living in some form of bliss. We are either in one or the other. We are either living up in our head or we are in the heart of God. Once we quiet the mind, open our heart together, we can live a balanced life in both realms of head and heart. Doing this, we then start merging with the infinite mind of God. When we can remain in this balance 24 hours a day, we will master this lifetime. It's really, really key here. That's what we do in these meditations. We quiet the mind. We open our heart together. We can live a balanced life in both realms of head and heart. Doing this, we then start merging with the infinite mind of God. And when we can remain in this balance 24 hours a day, we will master this lifetime. Then, every thought we think manifests into forming our living reality. And by living in constant emotional connection with the divine from our core, we become a living, bliss-breathing manifestation machine, perpetually creating every beautiful idea we feel and focus upon. There are not many things guaranteed in this life. We know that. Yet one thing that is 100% guaranteed is this. At some point, we are all going to return to God. It will happen either when our body is still alive or when our body stops breathing. Eventually, we will feel intimately connected with God again. So don't worry about when or how. All roads lead back to God. The path ahead and the path behind you both lead back to God. God is unavoidable because our past and future are just mental concepts which only exist within this living, present moment. Is God the moment? Yes. Is God the now? Yes. The mind alone is always blind to the divine. It is only with a quiet, surrendered mind that we may access an open, receptive heart which can see God in everyone and everything. The mind just doesn't want to realize how ignorant it actually is. It doesn't want, which it will get, to see how powerless, unfulfilled, and trapped it is, as this would cause a huge embarrassment to the ego. And both the ego and the mind are an illusion. And when we spiritually wake up, this mind realizes its petty search in the outer world to find everlasting satisfaction is spiritually fruitless. Only when the mind surrenders to God do we discover what absolute bliss feels like. Otherwise, the mind will continue to persist in its addictive habits of seeking fulfillment in the outer world. It will ignore seeing how true bliss is available here, now, for every one of us. And as it needs to continue its addictive search for years, decades, and lifetimes, the mind is always trying to get its desires met by people, food, substances, money, ideas, and is in the habit of constantly yearning for something. Yet as we all know, once the mind gets what it wants, it's only happy for a short while, and then is back on the hamster wheel again, searching for fulfillment again, and again, and again, and again, for lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes. The mind is deeply unaware that it can never, ever be truly satisfied. It is good to know that whatever happens in this life, there are really no real mistakes. God is an infinitely positive creative energy, and this fierce force does not know what a mistake is. Every mistake that we perceive to be real or true is simply the mind forming another judgment. There is universal right or wrong. Book. There is only deeper shades of truth in which each higher layer only reveals a lighter perspective on our enlightening mission we are here to learn. And what are we all doing? Maybe the greatest goal of life is to find that God's source inside us 24 hours a day. This is the only thing which truly satisfies. Everything else falls vastly short. Feeling into our own personal, intimate connection with the divine is the most important thing you can do with your time each day. Everything else you do is going to be the ego seeking some form of gratification, which of course will not last. Beware of the ego, as it is easily caught in complaints, negativity, and creating problems that weren't there before. Your only job is to move beyond your ego, transcend your small self, and step into the big self that you truly are. And when you finally surrender to God at the center of your soul, you will know without a doubt that you have just discovered the most amazing experience of coming home. I join you in meditation. I'll return to close us out. Take an easy and slow breath in through the nose. And an easy and slow breath out from the mouth. Remain still, focused on your breath rising and falling, relaxed into your body. I'm sending you great courage today to face, embrace, and finally welcome that one thing you've been avoiding. I believe you know what I'm talking about. It's that one thing you know you most need change in your life, yet have been procrastinating. I know you know what this is. The fear may show up in future actions you need to take, or the words you ought to speak. Just take a closer look inside at what you most need to do this week. That when you actually do it, will make you feel fearless and free. Ironically, there's no need to conquer or achieve anything great in this life. It's okay if you choose to keep avoiding your highest freedom and living in fear. The all-loving, eternally patient universe will provide you with infinite attempts and lifetimes to figure this one out. Yet, there will come a day when you grow tired of this old fear game. Realize something profound. You are beyond this illusion of an imagined future that feels unsafe. You see how fear is the mind trying to protect your ego from pain, failure, or the unknown. But in doing so, it often traps you in limitation. Fear is a vibration that arises when resistance meets the unknown. It's just a bunch of charged thoughts passing through your mind. And when you meet it directly, the most amazing thing happens. You awaken to the truth that fear is not bigger than you. You realize you are the creator of your entire reality. Your mind is imagining everything. It is amazing how fear falls away so quickly when it meets the truth. Deep down, the God Source already knows that you are absolutely perfect and divine. We're all just waiting for you to embody it. Two most important days in your life are the day you are born and the day you find out why. Mark Twain. Take this with you for the rest of the day, into the evening and night, and into the following morning. We will return here Tuesday, April 1, 2025, after 3:15 p.m. Eastern to continue our global guided meditation call. We'll be having a Time for Change call this Wednesday night after 9:15 p.m. Eastern to continue the shift of planet Earth and the liberation. Be gentle, kind, generous, and humble with yourself at all times. Be in the highest of the highest high, deepest of the deepest, deepest, purest of the purest, purest eternal gratitude at all times, no matter what's happening within you or outside of you. Open your heart and allow the magic to flow in.